This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1692, a conversation with Julie Benson and Shawna Benson.
Laser beams, opinions like the seasons on everything you read in comics, movies, games, toys, artists, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek. Uniting the world's mightiest heroes. This is...
I'm Brian Chrisman.
And I'm Adam Murdo.
Comic Geek Speak.
And welcome to the show. Yes, we had a wonderful conversation with the sisters Benson, Julie and Shawna, about a myriad of topics, but we talked about, of course, their book they're writing, Back on the Birds of Prey, their upcoming run on Green Arrow. We talked some TV with The 100 and other things and went a little all over the place there. So spoilers for definitely Back on the Birds of Prey. And a little bit on the season 11 of the X-Files, which has just recently aired. So, forewarned is forearmed. Again, it was a fun chat.
So, fast forward, if you must.
But first, a word from our sponsor. This episode of Comic Geek Speak is brought to you by SuperheroStuff.com, your go-to for all of your
superhero stuff.
Yes, and of course... they're your one-stop shopping for all your geeky needs, for whether it's for yourself, your family, your friends, your neighbors, your clergymen, whatever. They've got it. They've got things, belts, T-shirts, hats, hoodies, socks, all kinds of great stuff. And right now, they got a huge selection of stuff for the upcoming Avengers Infinity War movie.
And it's only going to get huger as the next month wears on.
Exactly. Again, plenty of T-shirts. Thanos socks they have here. They've got pop figures.
There's a Thanos pop figurine staring at us from their front page
right now. Infinity Gauntlet keychain. I mean, awesome stuff. And, of course, they even have some new DC stuff. They've got some Harley Quinn glitter, diamonds, unisex pajama sleep pants. They've got some flip-flops. They've got... Wonder Woman retro socks. Goodness gracious. They've got a Star Wars Jabba the Hutt ceramic mug. It's a new item that I'm seeing there.
Yep, his tail is the handle.
You can also get gift cards from them, and they always have coupons. So check out their website. You can subscribe to their newsletter. They're also on, I believe, Facebook and Twitter, so check them out. SuperheroStuff.com, your go-to for all of your superhero stuff. All right, without further ado, here are Julie and Shawna Benson. All right, and now joining us for some comic conversation. What else? We have the fabulous Benson sisters, Julie and Shawna. And again, give your voices so we know who's talking who here.
I'm Julie. And I'm Shawna.
Yay!
Hey! Hi!
Hello! Welcome back to the show, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And as usual, I have a list of questions. I've done my research. So the first question I have is your refrigerator running?
Oh my God. That is the best dad joke ever.
You got Prince Albert
in actuality, yes, we bought a new refrigerator. Yes, we are proud owners of a crappy refrigerator, a new crappy refrigerator. It's just low end. It's not crappy. It just doesn't have any bells and whistles.
Yeah, that's actually the way I like my refrigerator freezers. Is it one of those...
It's very, very simple. Very simple. It keeps things cold, and that is its only job.
That is its function.
There you go.
Is it one of those chrome silver jobbies, or is it white?
No, black.
Black, wow.
Had to match the current decor.
Are you guys hearing us okay? I feel like Shawna's computer is not.
No, you sound fine.
Perfectly audible.
Okay.
Less tunnely, anyway.
Yes, our computer is running. And also, we listened to the latest episode of the nominations. Thank you so much. 2 nominations, one from Murd, Best Villain, and one from Shane, Best Series. And that's so amazing.
We are honored. Thank you.
It's so ridiculously awesome.
Richly
Thank you,
deserved,
guys.
you
and
guys.
Our checks are in the mail, obviously. Yes.
Yeah. Bribery will get you everywhere with us. Well, so one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on is because now that it's official that Batgirl and the Birds of Prey is ending, and we're all very sad about that. I don't know if you heard my rant on the previous episode about that, but I wanted to get your thoughts on your first gig writing comics, what it meant to you.
Oh, that's a really interesting question. We haven't been asked that yet.
That's why they give me the show here.
I just say that's why you make the big bucks. We learned a lot. We learned all the mistakes and all of the successes and all of the pacing. I hope we learned pacing. It's so hard because writing for the 100, we crammed so much story into those episodes, and I feel like we took the same approach writing Birds of Prey, where we wanted to just get a lot of story in those books, because I know what it's like to buy a book and you're like, oh, that was 20 pages of one fight sequence, cool, and you're like, where's the story? So I think one of the mistakes we made was just trying to cram in too much story and not spending enough time on character moments, just letting it breathe. But that being said, I think we tried to find those moments as we got, through the first, 11 or 12 issues. Mm-hmm. And I think our last arc in particular, I'm really proud of, because we did go back to the beginning and we went back to sort of rebirth and taking each of those villains and sort of realizing that we had created villains that were almost, the bad mirror version of each of the birds. And that was something that we hadn't thought of when we did it. But like Canary could eventually turn into a blackbird if her power got strong enough. And Barbara could turn into a bad version of Oracle, which would be like Calculator, using her powers for evil. And obviously Helena turning into her mom, with revenge being at the heart of everything. So pairing them up against their sort of worst versions of themselves and what they could become was sort of the intention of the last arc. And I think for us, that was sort of a revelation that we had late in the game. And I think it sort of propelled us to feeling like we actually put a bow at the end of the series, and we're really proud of it. So yeah, I hope we stuck the landing.
Well, we also wanted it to feel like every issue mattered. And every story mattered. So there were consequences that came out of every single one of those stories, consequences that may not have been addressed immediately, but they've come back in a big way. I think one of the early criticisms was that, like, Helena killed a couple of people, and what's up with that? And, nobody gets punished or whatever. And it's like, well, that's part of comics, but the other part of it is that now that's a thing that creates a problem for her. That is something that she has to deal with. So I think that was another key thing, was to sort of make it all have mattered, and that's why it's called Full Circle, right?
I was getting to that, yes.
Yeah, it was just the idea that we got super lucky with Birds being the first book out, because having those three women as, with such different fighting styles and personalities, and getting to play in that sandbox. I think somebody said to me, I think it was Tim Seeley, like, the fact that we were fans of comics and we'd read a lot of comics was great, but the fact that we didn't know what we were doing when we were writing it, and to a certain extent, was exciting to read, because we were doing stuff, I guess, that other people either learned not to do, or we were taking risks that others hadn't thought of because we were just seeing it in a different way. Like, so I don't know. I'm trying to still distill it all and figure out the pros and cons of everything. But
so the bad thing is, when you try to use any characters in continuity, it is such a disaster. Like, we tried to use so many different villains or heroes, and you would get halfway through the process, sometimes even having a script, and you'd get this message from editorial saying, oh, hang on,
by the way,
actually, we're using so-and-so in whatever book, and so-and-so's a good guy now, or, and you're just like, oh my God, like, it was so hard to use characters. So one of the biggest lessons we learned is to create our own villains, create our own characters, because then you don't have that problem, which is really hard, because there was so many we wanted to use, and it just never happened.
Thankfully, Calculator is kind of a Birds of Prey villain more than anybody else, so we didn't have a problem getting Noah Cutler. But everybody else, it was a little challenging. Yeah.
Well, now that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would say now that brings me to my next question. We did mention at the very top that there will be spoilers. So you brought in a new character, Gus Yale, as Oracle, and then in this last arc you killed him. And I know how sad that was, but did you sort of not want to have anybody else use the that you created? What was your thought process for that? I'm just curious.
He's ours. No one can have him. He'll die with us. No, it was more of it was sort of symbolic in the sense of when we created Gus, it was actually a mandate from DC. They wanted to try to create a new Oracle. And so we went with it, and then we were also told other people might use him, and then no one used him. And so it was one of those things where we were like, well, look, this character's now become us. It's a commentary of, fandom. It's a commentary of the great love of Birds of Prey. So we really felt like when we were writing Gus, we were writing our voices as him into that book. And so I think killing him was also a bit of catharsis of us feeling like we were being killed when the book got canceled. And so it was like we killed ourselves in that book because it was a way of sort of wrapping it up in a way that was like our voice. It felt like, is this making sense? Like it felt like our voice.
Yeah. And to be honest, the book, somebody someday will pick up this book and they will continue it. It will continue on without us.
Yeah, we hope so.
So, I think ultimately when you get to the end of this arc and the end of our series, you get to understanding that, this book will, this team, Birds of Prey, will continue on without that Gus, without that Oracle. And the book will continue on without us, and that's just the nature of comics. So, it's tragic and sad, and hopefully it was sad. I mean, that's the other challenge, too, is that I don't think we used Gus a lot because we didn't really know how to use him. The problem was that the pull for us story-wise was to create a good dilemma for Barbara. And once you sort of reintroduce the idea of her being Oracle, that's a great character conflict of I am Batgirl, I am Oracle, I am Barbara Gordon, I'm all three. But how do you balance that? And that became sort of the ongoing question after the first couple of arcs was, how would she balance that? And does she balance it?
Yeah, that image of Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and Oracle all as one, that's a really good art page. I wonder what that would look like.
Shut up, Brian.
But, did DC give you enough headway time so you could finish the story? And
yes.
So you have an ending that you're happy with? You were given enough time to do that?
Yes, it was such a blessing. It was funny because at first they told us like, oh, it's wrapping up in two issues. And we were like, oh, crap. Okay, cool. And then it was, oh, you know what? You might actually have 3 and you might actually have 4. So it ended up giving us the runway to have the 4 issues. So we just decided to mimic the rebirth where Barbara gets this sort of centric issue, Helena, then Dinah, and then sort of the big finale. And so that worked out perfectly for us. And they were really great about just letting us run with that story and completing it. It's one of the funny things, like when we work in TV, like the 100. We don't know if the 100's coming back. We have planned, we have ideas for a season 6 if there is one, but we won't know for a few more weeks if that show comes back. And what a bummer if we didn't really land, a heartfelt finale. I think the finale is amazing, but looking back, I'm sure Jason would say, oh, I wish I would have done this, that, or the other thing if I'd known this was going to be the last episode. So what I'm saying is it's such a blessing to have that runway, like you said, for them to give us that chance to sort of finish our story and tell it instead of just saying, well, that's, goodbye, the end. And so I will always be eternally grateful for that.
Yeah. 23 issues. It felt like a good
run.
number.
It's an omnibus.
It is.
Well, I believe the 3rd trade is being solicited or has been solicited, so when that comes out, people can order that. talk a little bit about the people you work with behind the scenes in the book, the creators and the editors. How is it that working with a team like that as opposed to a writer's room for television?
Yeah, it's interesting because at first we didn't get a lot of editorial notes. There wasn't a lot of interference, and we actually were whiny about that. We kind of were like, guys, we want to know what you think. We want to collaborate. We're used to collaboration, and they're all just too busy, if it's not broke, they're not getting in the way. And then that being said, they also rotated our editorial teams a few times. So we started out with Chris Conroy and Dave and Wygaz, and then they ended up getting pushed onto other books, and we sort of had Mike Cotton for a hot minute and Rob Levin, and then now we had Katie Kubert and Rob, and they've been amazing, and Katie's been so collaborative, and she really does chime in and give feedback, and in a way that is less like, oh, I don't think this panel will fit, but more story development notes, which we actually really love. All that being said, when you take over a bigger title like Green Arrow, suddenly everyone has an opinion, and we are inundated with notes and feedback in a way that we're trying to sort of now manage our own expectations, because now we're kind of wishing for the days of when everyone left us alone.
Yeah, it was something nice about being in our own little corner of the playground where no one wanted to play with us, and we were like, geez, nobody wanted. And then you get to into the dodgeball game and decide maybe the corner wasn't so bad.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it.
What you wish for.
But
I feel like I want to see you guys as we're talking now.
Well, I can. Let's see if I can get that working here. But you also have been blessed with some really talented artists here.
Oh, yeah. So the artists. I talked about editorial. The artists. Here, I'll turn on our video. I'm warning you that we're neither prepared. Nor pretty, but we'll put on a video. Hi!
There's that familiar wall of guilt frames.
Sorry, listeners. This is the fun, exciting part where my laptop goes on a pillow. So
Live podcasting.
We had Claire Rowe for the first few issues, and she's obviously so amazing. And we never got to meet her, and I think that's one of my biggest disappointments. She lives in Scotland, so I hadn't made any trips to Scotland lately, and she didn't come to the U.S., so we loved Claire. We loved what she did. And then we got Roger Antonio, who did the first stuff he did was... I'm sorry?
Roger Antonio. Huh?
Roger, yes. He spent 20 minutes trying to get me to say his name properly at a convention, and I still don't do it right. Roger Antonio. And he did the Dinah flashback stuff in the very beginning, and they loved him so much, and we did too, that... he stayed on the book.
And Helen of Flashbacks, too.
Yeah, but he started on the Dinah.
Right, yeah, Dinah was first, that's right.
And he's been amazing. I mean, we're working him to the bone, this poor guy. He's turning in pages every 5 minutes, and we're just like, okay, hurry up, it's the end. Let's get all of it at once. And I'm sure he's going to never want to work with us again, because I don't know how these artists do it. It is absolutely insane how much work they put in, and the timing.
It's intense. I like the schedule. I mean, the schedule we're on feels luxurious compared to the schedule they have, I'm certain, because we have time to sort of futz around with dialogue even after the drawing is done. We can kind of go, maybe we don't need this line, or let's change it. They do the art, and the art's done practically. There's a few opportunities for patching, but generally speaking, I
think he's done his best work on the book in these last 4 issues.
I would agree
for
with
sure.
That. I would agree with that.
I think he's really put in a lot of effort. I think we all know how important it is to stick the landing, and he's really put in a lot of work. So
I think the motorcycle chase in 20 is one of my favorite things he's ever done. Yeah. I think he really got the kinetic nature of that. So that was fun.
And you also have March 2020's out. And you also had on artist on 14 and 18, Marcio Takara as well.
Marcio, he's amazing. He did the Fun Paris issue, and the camping issue, the camp out. He's really great. He has this sense of humor in his art that he would draw in a lot of stuff that we didn't write, and we'd be like, "How dare you?" No, we were like, That's amazing. It's that's what we live for, somebody to collaborate like that and just sort of put their own influence in it. And so he was really fantastic.
Claire did that a little bit too. Like
Claire did that. Yeah.
There was one early issue where she had put a wine store in the background, and I remember you went crazy over the fact that there was a wine store there. And it was
you did, because you're the big wino, not me.
It was like, how did she know that that's exactly what we would have in the background of that street? Absolutely.
Yeah, and random things like canary eating. I think we wrote those.
We wrote the canary eating in. Okay. She's the Brad Pitt of our book.
Hopefully she'll keep eating in Green Arrow.
God, she's definitely going to keep eating in Green Arrow. Are you kidding me?
And, of course, your cover artists, first off with Yannick Paquette.
Oh, my God.
And
yeah, she's so good.
Kamome Shirahama on the variant.
Kamome-san, yeah. She's amazing. Again, we only talked to her via email, and it was through an interpreter, so it was sort of 10 degrees away from each other. But we would just repeatedly thank her via email for her amazing artwork. Like every issue I love. Yeah. And Yannick's work is just, it's so amazing. And then we got the Dodsons towards the end, and we're like, what's happening right now? The book's over. Like, we should just be having me draw the covers at this point. Like, what are we talking about here?
Adam Hughes?
Adam Hughes?
Yep.
You guys are nuts. So, we got really lucky with cover artists.
Right?
Oh, yeah, Yasmin did one.
That was the one.
Putri?
Yeah. And then, of course, the very first Rebirth variant was by Ben Caldwell.
That's right.
Which I own the pencils for, thanks to a certain Pantaloonie.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They're hanging on and framed in our doorway, so anyone who visits can see them.
I've heard that. But now, recently, I think one of you tweeted out an image, which I think was the variant for issue 21. I can't find it, so I'm not sure if you deleted it, or does that sound familiar all to either of you?
I didn't tweet it, somebody else did, because I never know, I don't know why I cannot keep up with when previews happen. You usually have to text me and be like, Julie, they still listed it, issue whatever, and I'm like, oh, cool, okay, we can talk about it now.
Especially with variants, because the variants aren't in the initial previews.
Oh, that's
right.
This, I think, went out to retailers, and one of the retail shops tweeted the image. It was Big Bang Comics.
It was Big Bang, who's in Ireland, right? Or Scotland?
Yeah, Ireland.
Oh, okay, yeah, but it's really cool with an Action Comics 1000 homage, well, Action Comics 1 homage with the motorcycle. Oh, that's beautiful. So
they showed it at WonderCon, so
they did. Yeah.
Okay,
so
it's out there.
It's tweetable.
Yeah, it's totally tweetable at this point. But yeah, and she gave like 2 or 3 different options for that cover, and they were all so cool and very
we literally
different.
Couldn't pick. We were like, we don't know. I don't care. You know what? I had a note about the Superman one. I shouldn't even say it. My note was very... Of course, it's the homage, and I love it. It is the greatest cover. It has completely now become my favorite cover. But at first, my gut reaction was, do we really want to show the women having to be held up by some guy? You know, like, are we weakening their personas if we're showing them, you know, sort of at the mercy of Superman? And I just got too inside baseball on it. And everyone's like, Julie, it's an homage to issue 1. Like, yeah.
They're in control of the situation
and
no matter
it's
what.
Cute. But you see where my head went. I immediately was like, hang on now.
Yeah, we know. Calm down. Right, so unfortunately I said Batgirl and the Birds of Prey is ending, but when one door closes, another one opens. So also, you're now working on Green Arrow.
Wait, I'll do my... No one can see this, but I'm making a little Ollie goatee with my hair on Skype.
Do-it-yourself blonde Van Dyke.
Anyway.
Totally convincing.
Not as convincing? Okay. Yes, they within, I think, I would say, was it like a week or 2?
It was a couple of weeks. Well, they'd scheduled a dinner with us with Bob Harris.
Oh yeah,
not long after we got the news that the book was canceled.
And I immediately was like, "Oh, we're fired."
This is the thanks for working with us. Nice knowing you.
Yep.
Bye bye.
And for some reason, anytime somebody wants to sit down and have lunch or like get on a call or something, I immediately go to the worst case scenario. I'm like, "Oh, we're fired." They want to, and then everyone's like, "Why would someone buy you dinner to fire you, Julie?" And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So I think they and I don't think, I'm going to say they made us sweat, but we sweat for 2 weeks after Birds was canceled because we were really sad about it. We were confused as to, did we just completely screw up the book so badly that now no one will hire us? And you go through all the emotions as a neurotic writer.
And we were starting to hit acceptance phase. Like we were getting there where we were like, okay, all right,
well, we had a good run. We'll just go back to TV.
This was
cool.
fine.
It's cool. And Bob called us and said, what do you think about taking over Green Arrow? And I think there was a good 30 seconds of silence because Sean and I just sort of stared at each other.
And neither one of us wanted to talk first because we didn't know what we were going to say.
Right, we didn't know. It's like, what if she doesn't want to do it? Or
we haven't had a conversation about...
It was really the last thing we expected, primarily because there has been a history with the Big Two that women aren't writing the male titles. So to be offered the male title was shocking because we were so excited about that. And we knew the pressures and the importance of it the minute he said it. And so I think we wanted to make the right decision, which is you don't want to do it so that that's the reason why you do it. You want to do it because you love that character and you have a story to tell. And because we had only used Ollie sporadically and almost at his expense in our book, it was sort of funny to be like, oh, well, yeah, we have stories for him, but are we the right people to tell it? Yeah, I think we're the right people. So it took us a minute to accept it. And then immediately, I think, we were like, let's sit down and talk about it because I want to hear what direction they wanted to go. And I knew sort of a direction we wanted to go. We're big fans of the Jeff Lemire run. I really love the darkness and the sort of navel-gazing of that book. And I love the lightness and the fun of Brad Meltzer's Archer's Quest. Like, that's probably my favorite story out of all the ones that we had read at the time.
They're so very similar to each other.
There's just polar opposites. You have like the fun and quirky Archer's Quest with like all the sarcasm and jokes, and then you've got Lemire's like dark, Daredevil-esque run. And so it was tricky for us tonally to start to figure out, well, what is our version going to be? Because we have the opportunity to have social commentary in this book and talk about social issues. This is the book to do it. And so do you really want to be flippant on every page, or do you want to find a good balance of the two? So I think we'll see if we do it. We're trying to find the balance between those two. Have the fun and then have this really underlying dark character story for Ollie. We're taking him to some weird places. Okay. And there's a lot of spin-off from No Justice. So we also got called, as we were creating our year arc, we got a call from Scott Snyder saying, hey, so, we're doing this No Justice thing, and, Ollie's going to be in it, and we just wanted to make sure you guys knew sort of what was going on. And it was one of those moments where we were like, oh, yay, we get to play with the other kids. And so,
but before that is when we were asked if we wanted to write the annual. So we'd been planning out our year arc, and then they suddenly came in with, hey, we have this annual that's going to come out in May. Do you want to write it? And we were like,
yes.
Yeah, sure, okay. 38 pages.
It's so weird to write an annual before your arc. We're just talking and talking. Sorry, you should ask us questions.
Okay, I got many, many questions. One of them is, this character has been around forever. More Fun Comics 73, way back in like 1941, I believe. And he was one of the
7 years.
Yeah, one of the very few DC characters. The other one being Aquaman, besides the big three, who was published continuously through the Golden Age when everybody else went away.
There's so much pressure.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying. He didn't have his first title till the 80s.
Right.
I know enough about him to get by, but I don't know much of his current incarnation post 52. What kind of research have you done that you don't already know for the character to start writing him?
Well, luckily we were keeping up with Ben Percy's run, the most recent run. We were reading along with that through Rebirth, so we were up to speed on what they had done since the Rebirth run. I'd remembered reading quite a few during the New 52 run, but, that was sort of everybody and his brother was jumping out. That was like the Andrew Kreisberg stuff. And the Ann Nesenti had a few issues in that. So I remembered a few of those, but the stuff I actually remembered reading and owning was, of course, the Grell run, Longbow Hunters, the Brad Meltzer Archer's Quest, the Kevin Smith runs, Quiver and Sounds of Silence.
Yeah, we actually owned that one.
Yeah, we owned quite a few of those.
Strange. I hadn't read any of it, honestly. I mean, I had not read a lot of the back stuff. So for me, it was a deep dive where we read the Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Denny O'Neil, and Neil Adams run, which is really remarkable. And obviously its strength is in its social commentary. But it's also fun. Like there's a lot of fun in that.
I'm sort of jealous we don't have Green Lantern in our book.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good sort of friendship, relationship-y kind of stuff. But I think that I would say that from every kind of major era, there is an element that we are incorporating into this book. So, it's sort of like you go, oh, it's great, because it's sort of like you get to go shopping and say, I would like this piece, please, and let's take that piece over there, and then we're going to put it all together and create something, hopefully, that's a little new and feels a little different to somebody who reads the book, but familiar.
Yeah. So that's what I think we did with Birds, and hopefully successfully, is that the continuity mattered, and if you had read those books before, you were rewarded with certain characters or moments or callbacks, because those things, that's the fun for us, too, is the continuity. So we're doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, again, it's sort of that threading the needle thing of what's in continuity and what isn't. Right. Ben did a kind of a remarkable job on the book for himself, figuring a lot of that out. So thankfully we don't have to do square one like we did with Birds. But here, it was really more of, okay, he's established some things. So let's figure out, of those things he's established, what can we continue to mine, and what are other things that we can sort of reintroduce back into the continuity that has been out for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And there is a significant element.
Oh,
I know what it is. You told me.
Oh, but you can't say it.
I'm not going to say it.
It's in the annual. It's in the
annual.
I'm not going to say
it very soon. It is an element that we were
very
Bird, excited
right?
about.
I did tell him. I think is that. Remember when can you read that word first of all? How about I do this?
Not out loud.
It's like what's that game show Password or something?
Yeah.
Did I tell you that?
The Password.
Oh my God!
That one with Alan Funt you were trying to tell me about before. I think I can read that now.
Okay, but I did tell you that.
I don't think you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I might have told Shane. I told somebody about it. Oh, stranger on the street. I told actually.
I assumed all those pages of art you were showing me might have been a clue to it, but
no, it's not. It's something totally different.
Completely different element of Green Arrow's past.
Correct.
All right, but it's been communicated to me now. I'm on the same page. Very cool.
Okay. Yeah. So we got really excited about that.
Yes. So first of all, you've done 2 conventions in the time that I haven't been to a convention yet. So because you did Emerald City Comic Con and you did WonderCon. So now WonderCon was where they officially announced Green Arrow.
Right.
What kind of reaction did you get from the folks coming to your booth, both at Emerald City and from WonderCon? Did you have a booth at WonderCon or not?
Boos spitting on us. No, everyone was really amazing.
It would have been great if we'd had a signing after the announcement, but our signing was immediately before the announcement. So everyone was coming up and asking us, so what's the new book? And we're like, you'll find out at 3:00 in 1 hour.
Otherwise Dan DiDio will yell at us.
But I would say the online reaction has been incredibly positive. Thankfully, not a lot of people are tweeting at us, that we're terrible people that are going to destroy Green Arrow. So we appreciate that. At least they're keeping it to themselves, which is really nice. But for the most part, the people that, I think people that were Birds of Prey fans and liked what we were doing there, I think a lot of them are interested in seeing what we do with Green Arrow. Some of them were reading it before, some were not, which I think is nice.
That's always fun.
That's really nice when somebody says, I like what you do, and I will read the next thing you do just because I like you. That's, it's like Julie saying, you read pretty much anything that Jeff Lemire writes, right?
Yeah.
And so to have somebody say, I will read anything the Benson sisters write, that's incredibly humbling and flattering.
Yeah.
And to have somebody say that is just really nice.
Yeah, so the reaction was good. We were anxious to announce it at Emerald City because it's Seattle,
yep.
and it's where the book takes place. But so we actually
was hard.
we were
That
doing
was
a lot
so
of secret
hard.
research while we were up there. A lot of our touring of the city was just to get a lay of the land because
Nice.
we wanted to see what we could use as
Yeah.
potential locations in our book.
Because there is no off position on the Genius Switch.
It was advantageous, certainly, that we were able to take in some sightseeing. And neither one of us had ever been to Seattle.
No, it was amazing.
So, for us, it was really important to understand a little bit more about that city before we're writing it. If somebody said, "Here's a book set in Chicago," we can write that book easily. We know how Chicago feels. We know what it looks like. It has a very personal, there's a character to a city. And so we didn't know what the character of Seattle was until you kind of got there and you felt it. And you get a lot of that actually from meeting people. Yeah. When you meet people, you get an immediate sense of what kind of city it is. And Seattle became this interesting cross-breed city for us. It feels a little Vancouverish.
Yep.
We spent a lot of time in Vancouver. And so there is a Canadian niceness that seems to have been ported down across the border. But there's also kind of a Chicago feel to it. There's a city. There's a groundedness to it that I was not expecting because my impression of Seattle was all, and I think they still keep a lot of this there because people expect to see it. It was grunge and Starbucks and, crazy, stuff like that. And that was it. That was my impression of Seattle. So it was really nice to get that impression broadened.
Now, talk about the creative team you're working with on both the annual and then the actual ongoing book.
So for the annual, Carmen Carnero is our artist. She is wonderful.
I can't even begin.
I've
We
seen
keep
the
getting
tweets
art
of the
in
pictures,
from
the
her,
artwork, yeah.
And every page, it's perfect, and the acting is so amazing, and the detail, it's so nice. Roge has such a specific style. He does a lot more with, I don't even know how to describe it because I'm not an artist, but to me, he does a lot more with sort of the fun and and not a lot of detail in the face, or it's just, the action. And
he evokes a lot more. He evokes feeling with his art.
Yeah.
More than it being, picture perfect.
Right.
And that, that is definitely a style where you are able to bring somebody into an image without necessarily it looking like a photograph. Carmen's style is phenomenal because it is.
You can see the hairs in Ollie's beard. You can see
detailed.
It's just so detailed and beautiful,
but yet she's still managing to capture a lot of emotion.
So, yeah, her acting on the page is amazing. So we're super thrilled about that book. I could not be more excited. And then who do we have on the regular? Okay, so Alex Malev. Is it Malev or Malev?
Malev, I believe, yep.
Malev.
Okay, good. He's doing our covers, which is ridiculous.
That's nuts.
Because he's amazing, and I've been such a huge fan of his for so long. When we got the news that he was doing them, I just couldn't have been happier.
And then Javier Fernandez is doing our interior art. And he has, recently you would have seen him on, let's see. Recently you would have seen him on Nightwing. Well, Nightwing was a while ago.
Oh, Detective?
Detective Comics. He's done some work on Detective most recently.
He's also ridiculously detailed and dark and action-y, and everything he's just sent us from his previous jobs has been I'm so excited to start seeing his art.
He has some really interesting ideas too about layout, which I'm kind of excited about because I think that one of the things that we're hoping to challenge ourselves with in this book more is figuring out ways to really change up panel layouts and things, and working with the artist more on making the pages just more viscerally interesting. When you turn the page, you go, oh, wow, this is just really cool looking. I don't know what I'm looking at yet, but it's sort of that initial reaction to it. So I think in some of the things, particularly like when we get into splashes and double page spreads, where I think there'll be some really fun stuff. And then the colorist on this book is John Calise, I think. He's been working on Detective with Javier. So if you're looking at any of Javier's art on Detective, you will see this guy's colors. So we aren't as familiar with him. Whereas we've talked to Javier
like a
on and
legend,
off.
though. He's a
yeah,
legend.
he's a legend. And we've talked to Javier on and off since Rebirth, practically, because we've just really respected what he was doing. And it was just sort of serendipitous that he was coming off of what he was doing and was available. So we had him kind of on our wish list. And we got what we wanted. So that was nice.
That's nice. Now, you start with, is it issue 43 for the run? Of course,
That is
the annual
correct.
number 2 comes out May 30th, but then issue 43 comes out in August?
August.
Yeah. There's I'm loath to call them filler issues because they're definitely not filler.
They're not filler.
But there are between the annual and our August run, there is a group of 4 issues coming out. I think Jackson
Lansing, Colin
and
Kelly.
Colin are writing one.
They're writing 2 issues, one of which comes out next week. The first there, so they have a 2-issue arc, and then Meg Reed Scott has a 2-issue arc after them. So, I think those are going to be really fun stories. I've already read quite a bit, in terms of the log lines and stuff. And Jackson actually showed me some of his pages. So,
that must be nice. I didn't get to see any pages.
You weren't there.
Yeah.
You weren't there. It was in Emerald City, so it looked very cool. So,
Very
yeah,
nice.
August. It feels so far away, and it's going to be here in any minute.
Yeah.
Hotel Apocalypse for Comic-Con is next week.
Yeah.
It is happening, you guys.
it's this week.
It's this week?
Wednesday,
Oh my God.
the 4th. Yes.
Are you guys going to Comic-Con? Do you know?
Probably not.
Not San Diego. Okay.
I mean,
more
I
than
don't.
these old bones can take anymore.
Oh, yeah, Mert, you would hate it. Too many people.
Plus, my.
And I don't know if we're doing any other cons this year.
No,
right now.
we're just doing that.
Well, that was my next question. Well, first, I'm going to C2E2 next weekend, which you guys are
I
coming out there
know.
again.
I'm
But,
so bummed.
what do you have planned, if anything, for Free Comic Book Day?
We haven't planned anything yet,
Okay.
and that's partly because we weren't sure what our schedule was going to allow for. I'm going out of the country for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And I will be back in time for Free Comic Book Day, but we just weren't 100% sure if we were going to have the
Right now, nothing.
ability to.
We're doing nothing.
Well, we may go and get some comics.
Oh, sure.
That's always
Yeah.
a possibility.
I'll show up at somebody else's signing.
Yeah.
Photobomb them.
Sign my butt.
So if you're a comic shop owner out in the LA area, and you of course get a hold of Benson if you want to have them come to your shop to read or maybe even do a signing while you're there.
We'll just hang out, just little weirdo stuff.
I want to go pick up the DC Nation 0 issue that comes out the week before, but they'll have it for New Comic Book Day.
And isn't there an Action Comics something another coming out?
There's a whole
There's
bunch
all
of
this
stuff.
stuff.
All
I
kinds
can't
of
keep
stuff
up with
coming
it.
out, yes. Before we get off the comics for a minute, I want to touch on one thing you briefly mentioned about being female writers for a male comic. It doesn't even cross my mind that that's sort of a big thing, but I guess it is a thing.
It's big enough that Hollywood Reporter actually made it a headline a little while ago.
Exactly. So how do you guys deal with that? Is that something you think about, or is that just a regular another job for you two?
We thought about it. We sure did. Because it's very clear to our fellow female writers and us that it is a problem. And it's really great of you to sort of admit that it's something you hadn't even really noticed or thought was an issue, because back in the day it wasn't an issue. You had Louise Simonson, you had Gail Simone, you had all these amazing female writers writing the big dude titles, and no one blinked an eye or thought anything weird about it. And then somehow that went away. And it wasn't for, and I will preface this as, DC is not sitting there going, we hate women, and Marvel is probably not, I don't know them, but they're not, I don't think they're sitting there going like, no women shall ever pass, and being Gandalf or something. It's just for lack of, I think in their perception, I can't even make an excuse for it. I think it's just oversight. And and availabilities and things like that. I mean, let's be clear. There's still, you can count on both hands how many women are writing for the big two, and collectively. And so I think that to them, it's supply and demand. We just don't have enough women to go write those titles. Maybe that's an excuse. I don't actually know.
But I do think that Green Arrow in particular, because there is at least even if it's a really thin dotted line between Birds of Prey, there's something, and I did not realize this when they offered the book to us, but there is something kind of relevant, and it's not just Black Canary, that with the exception of Black Canary and maybe Barbara's somewhat inhuman intelligence level, the Birds of Prey are not powered for the most part. They're kick-ass, fight in the street, boots on the ground, superheroes. And that's exactly what Green Arrow is, too. So it feels like we're moving up, but at the same time, it's telling a little bit of the same kind of perspective, that these are not super-powered superheroes, but they are superheroes nonetheless. So I think that to me is maybe why this title, and why us for this title. And I think that the problem in the past is that they haven't just went, oh, hey, yeah, we had Gail writing Deadpool, but we just didn't think about the fact that, maybe I've had her on 3 female-led titles since Deadpool or whatever it is. It's just, it really isn't a thought in their mind. And it's unfortunate because I think that we're at a place where it has to be a thought in their mind. And until there's a little more representation on both sides of that fence, that that can't go back to being not thought about anymore, sadly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a big news in a Hollywood Reporter. How about that?
Yeah, that's a really strange feeling, by the way, when you see your announcement and it's led by the only 2 women writing a male title for the big 2 companies.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure. Well, now if I can sort of segue into some television talk, if you don't mind.
Go on.
Sure.
Of course, you are both staff writers on The 100, which makes its season 5 debut on Tuesday, April 24th. I have not watched the trailers. I have not seen any spoilers for the first 4 episodes. I know that they're out there. But, so you're writing, I think we talked about episode 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
We wrote episode 10.
Is that official? Yeah. Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I saw this, it was also directed again by Henry Ian Cusack. Is that correct?
It was!
It was, yes.
We got Kane twice. He directed our episode last season and knocked it out of the park, and we got him again this season. And after you watch this episode, I will be so excited to talk to you about it because there's some funny parallels. That's all I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will.
That we sort of realized after we turned in the draft, that's hysterical. I can't even. That's such an annoying thing to say because I know everyone's going what is it? But you'll all see it.
It was fitting when we realized that this was the episode we were writing. It was kind of fitting that we were writing it. So.
Yeah.
So
and we wrote it fast because we had to. Our contracts were up, so we had a week or 2 to get Jason a draft, and we were out the door. So from breaking it to writing
so we weren't on set for the production.
Yeah, that was the downside is we didn't get to go to Vancouver for our episode, but. Ian's fine. He didn't need us. He's amazing.
But we've seen the cut so far, and it looks great. So I'm not at all concerned about the fact
it's going to be a fun season. I'm curious the reaction of the season because so far it's been positive, which is good. Obviously, we'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it because you ended the last season with a flash forward, and it's like, where are you
the
going to go
time
from
jump
here?
is insane.
Yeah.
We skipped 6 years.
Yeah.
So the kids can actually play their ages.
We're close enough to
We're closer to their ages. There's some facial hair. It's insane.
Yeah, it's the year of the beard.
The year of the beard.
Oh my gosh! And at this point, I guess you're waiting for. Let's see if I have this term correct. The upfronts in May to see about if there's going to be a next season.
I feel like you know more about TV than we do.
No. You
for
guys
upfront.
are immersed. You've been out there 15 years. You guys have been out there doing this.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
sorry,
we're babies.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up. When you were like 12, you went out there to Los Angeles, right?
That's right. Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Very, very young.
Very young. Don't even remember Jurassic Park. When did that come out? I don't know what year that. Yeah, no. Upfronts are beginning of May. They'll announce whether the show is picked up or not. We will either hopefully be going back or we won't. We don't know. I mean, it's also up in the air. I'm trying not to think about it because it's too stressful.
Are you still on your water bottle tour?
We are on our water bottle tour. So just so people understand, like when you go on hiatus, depending on what your contract is like, you're either kind of actively looking for the next gig or you're sitting back and writing your next spec. And so for Shawna and I, it was a little bit of a combination of both because we had spent 3 years on the 100 feeling like we were almost in this sort of post-apocalyptic bunker and hadn't gotten out and met anyone in the industry. And we used to do it all the time. You used to go have these meetings constantly. And so for us, it was a little bit of we need to get our butts out there and see who works at Amazon and who works at ABC now and who works at Netflix. And so it's just been general meetings, but it's been a really nice a nice thing to kind of go around and have people like the show and like what we're doing with comics. And we're sort of mid-level female writers now, which out here is a thing, I guess. So hopefully,
it means hopefully we are more employable than not. What is that?
I don't know.
That's so
My
weird.
phone keeps making a terrible noise.
So yeah. So hopefully that will mean that we will be working somewhere on something. Come.
We're not being
summer.
cagey. We honestly don't have jobs.
No,
we don't know.
We don't know.
Now, is that scary for you, not having jobs? I mean, you have the comic book gig, of course.
I don't know. Is it scary for you, Pants?
Well,
Let's talk about you. Is everything okay?
I didn't mean for that, but yeah, I mean, I'm fine. Actually, Shane was here before we had a recording. He couldn't. He's a little under the weather, but
Is he still sick?
he's still a little sick.
103.
But we were talking about things, and I got to watch what I say here about Toy Just. I mean, I know I have a job till like the middle of May, but after that,
Oh, great.
they may keep me longer. But I got to start looking. You know, I haven't done a resume in forever, so
Oh my God.
I got one set up. I actually had Shane's wife look it over and give me some tips.
Fantastic.
And there's a job fair at the mall across the street from where I work on Tuesday, so I'm going to go over there. But it's like, I kind
You're
of
getting back out there.
well, I kind of like to get out of retail and get a quote unquote real job, but
Oh, come on now.
You know-
well, you have this accounting background, right? Like, you're so
mathematics
good with
back,
numbers.
mathematics, not accounting, math.
Okay.
Yeah, like 2 and 2
Well,
is
to me,
5.
it's all accounting.
To you, it's all accounting. But you know, I have sort of like you. I'm sort of now networking.
Oh, boy.
You know, I have some friends who have things that may turn out. So it's all new for me. And yeah, is it a little scary? A little bit, but I don't have a whole lot of bills. My house is paid off. I don't have a family to feed. Just got to feed my belly and get my cell phone bill paid and the heat and
That's
stuff.
right.
But I have some time. I don't want to go on unemployment, but that's an option for me there.
And there's nothing wrong with going on unemployment.
Yeah, I mean,
You paid into that
You
system.
paid into that system. Get
That's-
your money back.
I was talking to somebody just yesterday about that. He said, "Hey, you know what? You've paid into it. That's what it's there
That's
for."
what it's for.
But it's kind of like now is the time to sort of strike before the college kids graduate, while there's still some sympathy for Toys R Us employees out there. Like,
Oh,
look at me,
yes.
help me.
Both good observations.
Feel bad for me.
Yeah. So to slow process for me. I mean, I mentioned I'm very lazy, but I'm trying to get over that so I can find something and keep myself in comic books and original art and food.
Pants, the fact that you already have a resume, you're not lazy. You're planning ahead, and that's amazing. And
That's
you're
good.
already looking at job fairs. I have zero doubt that somebody's going to snatch you up because you are so intelligent and being able to do math. Did you see my tweet this morning? I doubled 1/4 of a teaspoon because I thought that was an 1/8. That's how tired I was this morning. How terrible at math I am.
You took a half instead of an 8. I thought you took a 4th instead of an 8.
So really, Pants, this is what you're up against.
no.
Our unemployment versus yours. You can at least do math.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's how tired I was this morning.
Oh, boy.
Well, for those who don't understand the terminology of the water bottle tour, we'll explain very briefly that it's a joke that has just sort of been perpetuated out here. That when you go out and you're having all these meetings at different networks and production companies and studios, they offer you a beverage every time you go to meet with them, usually a bottle of water. And you should take it because it, A, gives you something to do with your hands, so you aren't being weird, and B, you continue, you won't like get dry mouth or whatever while you're having this conversation. So you should always take the water bottle.
Hydrate, guys. You gotta
Hydration is very important. So by the time you finish on the water bottle tour, you have collected about
50,
30, 40 bottles, potentially.
and that's a good hiatus. If you get 50 water bottles,
I mean, that's really good. I don't have to buy any water for
we're definitely recycling them.
Although I will say, we have gone to many places this year where they no longer offer you the bottled water. They go and get you a glass
of water
because
which
everyone's
is
being environmentally
super
conscious.
Weird though, because I end up taking the glass with me.
Julie did take the glass.
We had a meeting at Disney Channel, and it was like a cool Disney glass, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun." I was like, "Can I take it?" Jokingly, they're like, "Yeah, we don't care." And I think they were sort of kidding too. And I was like, "Great!" And I finished the water, and I left with it. And then I felt like I had stolen. Like I had broken into Fort Knox. The whole way to the car, I was like, somebody's going to stop me.
I worked for that company for 13
Julie,
years.
Disney, they can afford it. And as a Disney stockholder, I officially absolve you.
Yay, thank you, Bird. I was so panicked. I've never stolen anything in my life, and I felt like I was red-handed walking through Disney Channel. But they said I could, so I'm going on the record.
There you go. Well, I hope you do get something that you want to do. I mean, even speaking of the Hollywood Reporter, there was in that article where you're like a possibly showrunners out there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so Forbes, not the magazine, their blog or their website or something, this guy we know, Merrill, and he didn't tell us he was writing this article, posted this article of okay, here's, I think it was 8 up-and-coming writers who could be, great showrunners someday or soon. And there goes the dog. Ding dong doorbell. There goes Gideon. And we were 2 on the list of the 8, and that was so amazing and flattering and surprising and it's been really fun to sort of think that we want to run our own show someday. We are not at that level. We are not at that place, but the fact that people are talking about it now makes you feel good that you're in the right direction. So yeah, that was really nice. I definitely have a lot of checks in the mail to all these people, obviously.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's not just because, you're so nice, but you both are very talented. It comes out in your writing, especially the comics, because the TV is sort of, it's more collaborative, but the books are your own.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the scariness of you go into the writer's room and you're collaborating and you're all coming up with everything, and then we would go into our office at the end of the day and it was just the 2 of us and going, all of these words are going to be published and people are going to read them. Whereas on TV, sometimes you'll get rewritten on a scene or there'll be input from the showrunner.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's
totally normal. Mm-hmm. Mostly because our show burns so fast and furious that the showrunner has to go back and make adjustments to sort of keep catching up with plot. Yeah. And by that time, we're off in Cancun having our hiatus. We were not in Cancun.
Television teaches you to be very humble and kind of helps you keep your ego in check, or it should anyway. I don't know that writing movies does that, but TV certainly does, because you are playing a team sport, and just like any basketball player will tell you that, Kobe Bryant can't, do what he does.
Sports ball analysis.
No, sports ball analysis. But any team sport, the single player is not capable of handling bringing that team to victory. So just the same thing in a writer's room. No single writer is going to be completely responsible for the success or failure of an episode or the series.
Yeah, this is when we say, if our episode's really good this season, we wrote every word. If it's terrible, we didn't write a thing.
None of it. It is also good for plausible deniability.
I love it.
No, it was a good season. But Pants, what you said about being unemployed is exactly how we feel. There's an excitement because something new is around the corner, hopefully, and maybe something even better. Or at least that's been our experience. And better could be season 6 is a better experience for us on the 100. Or we get on a different show and we get to play in a new sandbox, and that could be exciting. And for you, it's the same thing of like, you're going to be meeting new people and having a different job and going to a different place every day. Like all of that is so exciting because I think it just changes your worldview every time. Like It's a nice reboot. It's not a reboot. It's a relaunch.
Oh, jeez.
It's the beginning of a new arc. Same continuity.
Yes.
Starting a new trade.
You're starting a new trade.
Nice.
Hey, Pants Volume 2.
Okay. I want to talk a little more. I want to talk a little more TV, if I may. Are you two watching, or have you watched the latest X-Files season?
We watched the first one.
Okay.
And then we decided to wait to watch the rest until it had aired.
That's a very politically correct answer.
Okay.
My answer is no, because I heard what happened and I have no interest in watching that season.
Okay. Well,
did you watch it?
I did. Well, I
Was it good?
Well, may I speak?
Go.
Okay. Well, I watch it more or less out of loyalty. The very first, and we're going to spoil these things, the very first episode where you learn that the cigarette-smoking man fathered Scully's baby, I'm like, what? I was kind of out. But that really wasn't touched on much afterwards until the end, which was fine. Not too much. But there were 2 standout episodes I want to bring up here because I thought they were greatly or very well written. The first is called The Lost Art of Forehead Sweat, written by Darren Morgan.
Always the fun ones.
Absolutely. And that's still on my DVR. I liked it so much. But it says here, exploring the idea of the Mandela effect, in which large groups of people remember an alternate history. Mulder and Scully find out how the X-Files themselves may really have origin. And it was a fun
that
episode.
Sounds awesome. All right, well, they're on our DVR. We'll have to watch
Yeah,
them.
that was really well written. And the other episode that was really well written, now this one is, the title is RM9SB G93ZXJZ. In a world of ever-increasing automation and artificial intelligence, Mulder and Scully find themselves targets in a deadly game of cat and mouse. Basically, it's essentially just Mulder and Scully dealing with technology, like automated food delivery at a restaurant, automated drivers, a Zumba, your home security, when it all goes haywire. And again, it was a very well-written episode. And I should mention, that one was written by 2 female writers, Kristen Cloak and Shannon Hamblin.
All right. Great. That's exciting.
So check those 2 out, because it really stood out to me
We'll watch the whole thing.
How well written those 2 episodes were. Because it wasn't bogged down too much in the X-Files storyline going on in the season, but I just want to get your take on it. But if you haven't seen it, so watch them and let me know how it is. But yeah, I was kind of with you when some things went kind of haywire. It's like, ugh. But so I watched it out of habit. But I want to ask you also about. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're making me feel better because the Scully cigarette smoking man thing was the thing that pulled me out of it. But I did hear that there were some really great episodes in there, and we're such diehard. I should also preface with, we are such diehard X-Files fans that was really a hard decision for me to just sort of turn it off. So we did not stray too far. It is still on our DVR because we knew we would pick it back up at some point. And so I'm glad to hear that the
I'm watching Shawna go in the background, nodding in the background.
is worth it. So good.
Yes. Now, I also want to ask about another TV trend, which includes the X-Files, of nostalgia, bringing back old shows like the X-Files, like Will and Grace, Roseanne, and the upcoming Murphy Brown. What are your thoughts on that? Because I get it, but it's almost like I want to remember those shows as they were. So what are your thoughts? Because you're actually, in television, for goodness sake.
Well, it's a weird dichotomy, isn't it? It's so interesting because I loved Roseanne when it was on. Like, I lived and breathed that show. That felt like my family. That I felt like I was Darlene. I felt like I was Roseanne. Like
I was not Becky.
Shawna was Becky.
I was not Becky.
She was... No, you were like DJ.
I wasn't even DJ. What?
Anyway, so it was really exciting to hear it was coming back for a certain part of my nostalgia. It's the same thing as when you read a comic and you get like a reference from back in the, the deep dive, and you get really excited about it. But I think the political machinations surrounding that show are going to, I think, influence people to learn the wrong lesson from the nostalgia, meaning I think there's a certain niche that Roseanne works in for sure, but I hope we don't see a rash of, people just want the old stuff again, so here's Cheers or here's whatever, because you can't go back again. Like, it's already been hard for us to go back again with X-Files. And I love those characters more than life itself. Like, I would watch Dana and Mulder read the phone book, but at the same time, you don't. You don't want to watch them read the phone book. You've had them give you a 5-course amazing meal, and now you're kind of like, is there a dessert that I could follow this up with that would be better? I don't know. And so I hope the wrong lesson isn't learned, which is just to throw a bunch more of these on TV, because that well is not full.
It's not very deep. I mean, one thing I think people have to remember is that this is not a new trend. I mean, in terms of the number of shows that are being developed or on the air right now that are brought back from an earlier time, it is unusual that there are as many as there are. I have no idea about this. But in general, it is not it's something that has been going on for a very long time. The difference, I think, to your point about the political nature of it, is that this also, the television industry is going through a remarkable amount of change in a really, really fast time frame. In the last 5 years, Netflix has gone from having like 3 shows on exclusive to Netflix that they show to like
one a week,
that you're up almost to 50. And so that's a lot. And that's a lot of change very, very quickly. And everybody is doing their best to kind of cope with that. And most of these reboots that you're talking about, or the refreshes or whatever you want to call them, are shows that are specific to network television. So they are, like you said, Murphy Brown and Roseanne and Will and Grace, and all of these shows were popular network broadcast shows that appeal to the masses. So it's a little bit of a stopgap, a little bit. It's we're trying to deal with change, but we need to keep people watching our network while we try to deal with this change. So we want to give something that is familiar, that people know, so that they'll watch it, and then maybe we can start creating new programs that are different and innovative, and trying to keep up a little bit with the Joneses over at Netflix. But it is interesting because some of these are wildly successful. MacGyver is successful. It's a successful reboot.
Right.
And some are not, and I think a little bit depends on how they go about the process of reviving one of these shows. It's like, are you trying to retread the old territory entirely, or are you looking to set a new path? And I think the ones that look to try to set a new path, either with new actors in the roles, or if you have the same actors, they're at least telling different kinds of stories, then I think that those shows are the ones that are being successful.
Well, let's ask you, are you watching these reboots, or is this something that's exciting for you, or no?
Well, I'm watching the X-Files, and I never really watched Will and Grace. I actually never really watched Roseanne either. But I am kind of curious about Murphy Brown, because I really enjoyed that show, and the political aspect of that just fascinates me. And because also, for the most part, I think Diane English is behind this as well, because the original creator of the show, and most of the actors.
Yeah.
So that's good. But it's another thing was like, well, give us something new, I guess. But, people just want the same thing over again. I don't know.
Well, it's tricky, too, because you look at the box office and everything's a reboot or a sequel or, we've got Tomb Raider. It's a new version of Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
we got sequels galore. There's not a lot of new, and I'm hoping that TV doesn't, because TV has been the salvation for creativity in what I think has been a dearth of bad movies lately, or just creatively different or new or fresh movies. And so I'm hoping that TV doesn't turn into sort of that model of, if it ain't broke, let's just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I don't know. They probably will because they'll make a ton of money, but let's hope it allows for some new creative voices, too.
I kind of think, though, that we've also hit a tipping point with nostalgia, though. Like, for at least
Ready Player One.
80s nostalgia. Because, that film, I think, is divisive in a way that maybe people weren't expecting. That there are people that have just pushed away from the nostalgia table and said, you know what, I'm done. I've had my fill. I know all of these things. I appreciate and enjoy all of these things, but I don't need to be reminded of them every single day of my life in everything I consume. And then there are those who still seem to want more and more of it. And so I think that there's like this interesting dividing line that exists right now with audiences where they're not quite sure which direction they want to go in and what they're looking for. And that makes it hard for people who are trying to put shows on the air. Because if you don't know what your audience, you're supposed to figure out not what your audience wants, but figure out what your audience will want. So it's not what they want right now, but what will they want? And so, it is a lot of, you talk about roll of the dice.
Fashion.
Yeah, it is.
I don't really talk about fashion at all.
Hoodies are back in, pants, you're fine.
Oh,
You're
so
fine.
I can put my hood back up again here then?
Yeah.
Because they're not my headphones off here.
Hoodies never go out of style, though. Let's be honest.
Never.
That's
a bunch of dumb talk from two writers who have never run a show and aren't running networks, and so we don't know the right answer for it. But we all, other writers too. We all talk about this stuff and try to figure it out because we all want to have good, successful shows. But we all know that there are really great shows that just don't get any traction. There are 500 shows out there right now. There's a lot to choose from. And, we're continuously, even ourselves, people who work in television, who know more theoretically about television than most people, we're hearing about shows every day that we didn't know existed, and they're going into like a second or a third season.
Yep.
And we're like, what? That's a show? Yeah. Who's on that show?
Shocking.
Huh. So, it's new for us too.
Right, but Julie, don't you have a background with some CBS programming or something like that? If I recall that correctly.
Oh yeah, I worked at CBS for a year.
Oh, okay.
In their current department, and I learned how they, current and development works at a studio, and so that was sort of my entry between working in features and working in television. And so it was really interesting to be on that side of things and see how they run the day-to-day and what their notes are and what their attention to detail is, specifically not sometimes even for story, but for, we have an episode of such and such that just did a story like this. So they're kind of, it's almost like editorial, right? Where you can't really use that villain because we kind of used that villain on Hawaii Five-0 or whatever it was. So it was sort of interesting to see it from that perspective. But yeah, I think everyone's grasping at straws now. I don't think anyone knows where the market is going, and neither do we. So,
well, again, like I said, I hope you guys get another writing gig in TV. If that's you, I'm sure you want that, right? You want that to do that, right?
Yeah, of course. That's our day job.
Yeah, that's your day job. That pays your bills.
All you can do is stick to your creativity and create things that you like and you hope other people like, just like comics. Right? You hope that you put something out into the world that other people respond to and will want to continue to watch or read.
Excellent. Well, I could talk to you guys forever. I don't hold you up. I know you're busy out there in LA getting things done. Adam, you want anything else? I've been monopolizing the conversation. You want to throw anything out there?
I want to hear what Adam has to say.
You've had a good momentum going here. I didn't want to interrupt the flow of energy here. I'm just here to bask in the splendor that is Benson.
Oh my god.
She's putting on her Ollie mustache.
Yeah, I'm
again.
surprised you guys didn't have like detailed questions about the Ollie run itself. Not that we can give away much,
Well,
but
yeah, we
Well,
know
I
better,
don't.
so.
Like I said,
That's fair.
you've offered before to show me things, and it's like, no, I want to read the book and be surprised. I don't want to know what's going on. That's what the joys I get about going to the comic shop and getting the books when they come out. I don't want to be spoiled. Okay, enough with the mustache already. But now, Sean, I wanted to mention, I know you're going to out of the country upcoming soon, and you mentioned, I'm sort of in the same boat that you haven't taken a vacation where it's not around a convention. That's sort of the same boat I'm in. But I did come across April 21st and 22nd, the Lake Como Comic Art Festival in Cernobbio, Italy is happening, and it's an exclusive con, only 1,000 guests. So you can, see, you can hang out with Jim Lee's going to be there, Adam Hughes, your buddy Liam Sharp. Liam Sharp's going to be there.
oh my god,
Oh, my buds are going to be in Italy?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That is kind of crazy. I wish I'd known that.
You
before
should
I
go,
planned my trip.
Shawna. I'll stay here and hold down the fort.
Well, it's April
I think I'm in
21st and
Florence on that
22nd.
Oh, she's in Florence that day, Pam.
Oh.
No, I might be in Rome, actually.
Oh, she's in Rome. Never mind. Must be nice. She's going to Pompeii, which I'm jealous of. I would like to see Pompeii. It exploded. Is that the right word?
Vesuvius, Mount Vesuvius erupted.
Erupted. That's the word I'm looking for. On our birthday.
It's true.
Really? Well, how about
Yeah.
that?
August 24th. According to the history books. Yeah, so this one is a bucket list item for me. And I've gotten through very few of my bucket list items, I guess, in the last couple of years. So all of my bucket list items have been career bucket list as opposed to life bucket list. So
Yeah.
this one will be great. I'm really looking forward
Shauna's
to
going
it.
to go have a life.
I'm going to go have a life.
We'll take plenty of pictures. We want to see plenty of pictures.
I will be firing up the old Instagram, which I very rarely use.
Whoa,
but
look
it's
out.
probably going to get it's probably going to get a workout on
There
this
you
trip.
go.
It'll be a lot of pictures of me eating gelato.
So jealous. And pizza.
And yeah,
My two favorite food groups.
I'm taking a cooking class in Tuscany.
Wow.
So I will learn to make a 4-course authentic Italian meal.
So you better bring it back. Like you
Well-
better be able to make me some pasta when you get back.
As it so happens, I have like a little storage thing in my closet in my bedroom because each of us aspires to have our own houses, and we continue on this pursuit. I got a pasta maker, and I haven't used it yet.
When did you get a pasta maker?
I got it last year. It was one of my bespoke boxes. So I have a pasta maker, and so I'm going.
I'm so annoyed right now.
So once I've gone and I have learned the appropriate way to make pasta, I will bring out the pasta maker.
This is so irritating.
I don't know why.
Because I could have been having fresh homemade pasta for a year.
Well, only like 6 months, but
We're getting a divorce.
Well, I'm sure you also have plenty of vino when you're over there, right?
that is also on the itinerary. Yes, a couple of wine tours, one in Tuscany, one
This
in
is how
Umbria.
stupid I am. She was like, I'm going to Montepulciano. I'm like, I like that wine.
And I'm like,
It's a type of wine that I've ordered before. It's an actual place.
Yes, that's what the wine's
I
made
did not know that.
Yeah, so it's funny because a lot of the travel sites I read, it's about people like in their 20s exploring Italy, and I'm like,
That's when you're supposed to do it.
yeah, I'm a little behind on that.
Shauna's in her late 20s.
Yes,
thank
you're 29, you're 26. We've already established that fact before.
Yes.
Thank you.
3 years apart.
That joke is going to stop working real soon.
Aw.
It's already stopped working.
It already stopped working. Thanks.
For me, I don't know about for you. But.
You guys are aging in DC Universe time.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's good. That means that we'll revert to our younger selves in a couple of years.
Right.
I can't wait.
And
Cyclical.
lose a few years. We'll lose our
And
memories.
pounds. How's it been there, though? Are you guys still going to be doing episodes? Are you leaving the garage And are you finding new homes?
It's not a garage.
It's more like
It's a garage.
we're moving deeper into the garage, actually.
You are deeper into the cavern.
Further up, further in.
We're downsizing a little bit, so to cut costs and things. But it's a slow process. We have to go through the studio and clear out the clutter. It's a little bit of clutter in here.
Yeah, you have a whole bookshelf in there. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, well, as you can see, the bookshelves are still there.
Oh my god, isn't that crazy?
There'll be room for a lot of it in the new space, but not all of it. So whatever's left over, I guess, gets parceled out to us to take home, and whatever we don't want to take home goes in the dumpster.
Yeah.
No, you have to sell it or
Having a
something.
storage place was just the best. I wish we had that.
That's true. Do you still have an eBay account?
Well, I have an eBay account, yes.
Well, there you go. Take the ladies'
Yeah,
suggestions.
Pants, come on, some extra moolah.
Don't let
Sell
Deemer
some
pressure
books
us into
on
throwing
eBay.
this stuff away. Just
Yeah, okay, I'll get right on that. So Julie, while Shawna's away in Italy, I'm sure you're going to have a couple more training sessions with your dog, teaching your dog how to talk. I see he's now talking to you now.
Look, I'm trying to get him to say I love you because I see so many dog videos where they say I love you, and I want Gideon to do it, and he won't do it.
Because he's a jerk.
That's why.
dog.
It's not because he's a dog. It's because he's a jerk. No, I am convinced that if I try hard enough and just keep at it, eventually he'll do it, and I'll capture it on film, and then I won't ever have to try it again because I will have that moment.
Preserved for all time.
No, while Sean is in Italy, I'm definitely going to be having, like, super Kager parties. Is that what you call them?
Yeah.
And, like, like, ragers. Is that what they're called?
Because that's what I did when you went to the UK a
Rangers.
few years ago. I
Yeah.
raged against
Like,
the
all
scene.
night long. It's going to be insane in here, you guys. Or I'm going to be writing some Green Arrow comics.
There you go.
By myself. While Sean is gone.
Well,
I
have
will
you?
have done all of my work ahead of leaving. I will not be dumping all of it onto her.
I can see her expression.
She's so dumping it on me.
I'm not! I told you!
No, she's not. She's really helpful.
she's helpful. She's your partner.
I know. It's like Marion. I'm your partner.
But now, have you gotten to go out to the Hollywood Museum to see the Batman TV exhibit yet?
No,
I told you
barely
about
had
that.
a chance to wash my hair.
I was going to say, when have I left the house?
You know what? We did, though. We did escape the house the other night because we turned in our first issue of Green Arrow, that passed the annual, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And to celebrate, we went out and saw Ready Player One, like, Wednesday night or something.
Yeah.
Before it opened. And so we did sneak out of the house to, like, have a life for 5 minutes.
well,
But I want to go see the Batman thing, and there's a new Legion exhibit that they're doing for a few days before the premiere happens for season 2, and I want to go see that.
David Charles Haller Legion, not Long Live the Legion.
Yes, thank you, Mert. Yes. That would be an interesting exhibit.
I'd go to it. Well, heck, if you stand in front of the right exhibit when it's struck by lightning, you turn into the composite Superman.
Oh my god, amazing. Yeah, now I want that exhibit. Thanks, Mert. I want to go see King Tut. King Tut is in LA.
Really?
Haven't had a chance.
I don't know if
he's touring.
I don't know if he's in LA.
He's touring.
Everybody gets a comeback.
Who's his opening act?
You know, it's the reunion tour.
Oh,
It's,
God. I'm just imagining anyone listening to this and just hearing me cackle because I'm hungry.
Well, did you see, speaking of touring, that later this year, Mickey Dolenz and Mike Nesmith are touring together?
I did.
Okay.
I'm not going.
Why not?
Because it's one more step towards they'll die someday and I'll be sad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's terrible.
Well, we already saw them together. The nostalgia was there. You can't beat Pants and I going to a monkey show together. Like, after that, it's all downhill. So
Oh, stop it.
I'll just be chasing that dragon.
Well, I have my ticket to the one in Philadelphia, so I'll be going to see that then.
Are you going to go?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
See, he is a much more loyal fan than you are because
I'm also just lazy.
Have you seen
Could they just come to my house and play?
Did you see my Facebook post from a few weeks ago of me and Mickey Dolenz from 1996?
No.
Throwback Thursday.
Throwback Thursday. Go to my Facebook thing. There's a picture of me, Mickey Dolenz, from 1996. And I'm wearing I'm wearing a pretty...
Oh, I see the glow of a monitor on your face. So you're.
Well, she's got her laptop there.
I have to see this. It's not loading. I blame the Russians.
I blame everything on the Russians.
I'm afraid to post, so the Russians going to see all of my photographs. What's happening?
Pretty much, yes. They were, analytics.
They know about your talking dog.
They're going to steal him.
Right, they're going to launch him into space,
Moose
and he's going
and
to team up
squirrel.
with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's right.
Gideon of the Galaxy.
Hey, here's Brian.
I can see
It's so weird that your name isn't Pants on your Facebook, and then you load it, and it has a big Pants at the top from your license.
Here it is. It's the first one.
Oh my god! Wait, I thought you said Mickey Dolenz.
It said Mickey Dolenz. You
Mickey
were
Dolenz.
clicking on the picture. I was looking at the post.
Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong picture.
Yeah, scroll down. There it is. Wow.
Look at how little you are. You're so small and young.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my god, you look exactly the same.
Really?
Oh,
Look at those big glasses I got going on.
Hilarities. I love that shirt. Do you still have that shirt?
Absolutely.
Do you wear it?
Good man.
Occasionally. It's the old Usenet, alt.fan.monkeys.
Yeah. It is a Usenet.
Yep.
Oh my god, yeah. This would have been like the pool tour or whatever. Remember what was that album?
Cool It.
Pool Time.
Pull it.
Cool It. That was actually from the late 80s. This is from when he was touring his artwork. He had an exhibit of his own artwork.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Well, you are just not a big Monkeys fan. I thought
I'm the
you
worst Monkeys fan. Oh, he looks so young and happy too.
He's only done half.
Look at you, Pants. Oh my god, you have to put this up on the Comic Geek Speak site. It's too good. I clicked on the one that was on the side of you in another Monkeys t-shirt standing next to
Davy
Davy.
Jones. Yeah.
I love that shirt. I want it. You need to find
Even
it
younger
and
there.
mail it to me.
I think I even know where it is.
Come on, Pants. You don't want it anymore.
He does too. Do not send her anything.
I am not
man.
sending you my Monkeys shirt. No, Julie. No, Julie.
It has to be put to good use.
What are you going to use it for? It won't fit you.
She'll put it in a gilt frame and hang it on that wall.
Oh, see?
I'll wear it on my ankle.
You'll wear it on your ankle. Where has this conversation gone? I'm not sure.
I don't know. You're
surprised.
hopefully editing all of this out.
No, this is gold. Big gold.
Oh, God.
Well,
That's okay. You could have listened to the Word Balloon where Tom King and Shawna and I played Trivial Pursuit with John Centris for like 3.5 hours.
I did listen to that.
Oh, God.
Well, how could I not? I know all of you very well.
Yeah.
It's true. You introduced us to John.
Exactly, and I'm sorry there are no refunds for that.
It's unfair.
It was fun. We enjoyed playing Trivial Pursuit.
No, I did. I really had a good time, but I was like, no one's going to want to listen to that.
And then
you'd
people
be
came up to
surprised.
us at
Emerald City.
City and were like, really enjoyed the Trivial Pursuit episode.
And they also said they had heard us on Comic Geek Speak before. So I
Oh,
thought that
thank
was
you. I was waiting for that.
Great. Yes.
It was coming.
We need our ego stroked here.
Yes. Wow. You can only be the greatest at, one thing, and that's comics and
stop it.
podcasting. That's you guys.
Well, I'm very humbled by the fact that I'm pretty sure we are the longest running comic book podcast. Nobody else
you
is.
are.
Yeah.
Which means you can't stop anytime soon. Because
Sorry.
you lose that.
Can't quit.
we can take breaks.
Immortality is a curse.
Yes. You can take breaks. Breaks are allowed.
Oh, thank you.
So wait, do we not get to vote in the nominees because we're nominated? What's the rules?
I don't think there's any such restriction on the books, so
We can stuff the ballot box.
get those ballots in
Well, it's not.
by April 15th.
It's not like Chicago where you can vote the dead people or anything. No, you have one vote per person. Murd knows their IP addresses, and he's.
I'm totally going to vote for, on behalf of Tom King, on behalf of Tim Seeley, on behalf of Steve Orlando. Who else do we know? We'll just use Ben. All these guys amazingly
Dan
voted
Jurgens.
for Dan Jurgens. It's so weird that they all voted for us. No, we'll be sweet.
No, we won't do that.
Well, you are allowed to
time.
vote.
Absolutely.
You said vote often
I'm
or
gonna-
something,
I'm
right,
gonna-
Pants?
I'm going to vote against it.
No, I said don't vote often. We're not like Chicago. Oh, man.
This ain't Cook County rules.
Yeah, these kids today, I tell you.
Hanging Chads.
Pregnant Chads.
Pregnant Chads. Oh, man.
I forgot about those.
Do kids remember that these days?
No.
Okay.
Kids.
They were too young.
Yeah, I think we're at the point where anybody who was
That's all we
alive in
have.
2001...
We're so
That's it.
boring.
We're done.
We're just writing a comic book. It's so boring.
Well, do you have any last-minute thoughts before we wrap it up? I'm sorry. She's making faces.
Minute. Thoughts.
Something deep.
I have so many thoughts.
Be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
This is a terrible interview. About Ollie?
About anything. About life. About, I don't know, anything.
Universe.
Oh,
everything.
Shauna has a great story of how the number 42 was invented by Douglas
Douglas
Adams.
Adams. I think I saw that somewhere. I might have been...
That it was like a joke between him and John Cleese or something.
It's not really a joke. It was. I mean, it's
They tried to think of a funny number,
Yeah.
But
and it
doesn't
was a
it mean
number that
something
he
in...
said in like the...
It means something in like ASCII, like ASCII. It means something with the I don't know. Look, Google it. What the hell?
Oh, that feels like it was reverse engineered.
Okay.
I was
Ooh, all right.
listening. I've been listening to Hitchhiker's Guide again in my car, and the discs that I have were anniversary. It was like an anniversary edition, so it had a bunch of interviews, kind of like the oral history of Hitchhiker's Guide to go along with the actual radio show. And Douglas Adams himself was telling the story of the number 42, which was that, yeah, he wanted to find a number that didn't already have some kind of significance attached to it. So it needed to be funny, but not in like a 13 3/4 way funny. It needed to be, like a... And so apparently he had thought back to something that he had worked on with John Cleese when John Cleese was doing training videos. He has a company, or he had a company for a very number of years that would do training instructional videos. And they were very funny, but, engaging. And so this one was about a bank teller, like customer service in a bank. And John Cleese is in it. And he's playing the rude bank teller. And he's adding up a series of numbers, ignoring the customer in front of him. And the customer has to go to the teller next to him, who then treats him appropriately. That's the training video. And I guess Douglas was somehow involved in this. And he remembered the number that, he remembered the conversation that they had had for that as to what was the number that John Cleese's character was going to ultimately add up to, and the same kind of thought process about the number. And I guess the number 42 is a number that
It's funny.
worked. And now, of course, it has so much significance attached to it because of that it's hard to think of it when it wasn't significant.
I'm putting Gideon on the camera.
Yes.
You make me tell a story, and then you distract from the story I'm telling.
Now he's interpreting it into ASL.
Look at his stupid little paws. Oh, he's kissing me. He's like,
Because
let
he's
me
like,
go.
Put me down.
I smother you
Anyway,
with his
I highly
love.
recommend that the set, if anybody has never listened to the original radio plays of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they're great.
So Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, issue 22, the final issue will hit comic stands May 9th.
Yes.
3 weeks.
23.
22. There was a rebirth issue.
Never mind. You're
Math.
right.
It's math, Julie. It's math. I got
See?
this. I got this. May 30th, Green Arrow number 2 hits your comic shops. And sometime in late June, early July, your episode of the 100 should air. And you'll be probably at Comic-Con, I would imagine, in San Diego, I would imagine.
Yes, we will be
That
there.
is the plan, yes.
Okay. Well, good gosh. Thank you again for chatting with us. It's always a pleasure. Shawna, have a great time in Italy. Again,
Thank you.
Plenty of pictures. Julie, just have fun wrecking the house when she's away. And just thank you for everything.
Thank you for everything, and good luck with your job search. And Mert, are you back home? You're not in the Jersey Shore now, right? You're back?
For the moment. Okay. That process begins again in a couple of weeks. But...
It's so crazy. It feels like you were just there.
I guess I kind of was. But it's... I'm like Persephone. I'm only allowed out of the underworld for a certain span of time, and then... At this point, I'm not sure which one is the underworld and which is freedom, but... No.
I know. Why don't you guys open up a little Christmas shop together? You can call it Merry Pantsmas. Nope.
You need to work on your writing skills.
Nope. As I said it was a terrible idea.
We'll workshop it.
Let's workshop. This is why we need a writer's room. No, you guys are amazing, and thank you so much for everything and for loving the book from day one and promoting our book on our behalf and supporting it. That is obviously not something we have paid you to do, contrary to probably popular belief, and
no money has
it
changed
means the world to us.
Yeah, well, it's quality stuff. I'm amazed when I think about it that I was there. I met you both when you had just recently had your meeting with DC Comics. Mm-hmm. I was at Comic-Con when your book was released.
Yes.
I was at New York we were at New York with you when you saw the fans for the first time meeting you. We were in Chicago together when you had all the people come to your booth and see everything. We've been there with you along the way, and we're ready for Green Arrow to continue. So looking
Bring it on.
Pouring it on. Looking at more stuff.
Yeah, you guys have been along for the ride. I feel like it's just as much your book as ours. So,
so the check's in the mail then, right? Well, I do a few pages in my possession, so.
Those will be worth big bucks someday. I heard did the Adam Hughes cover sell?
It did. I don't know what it sold for, but I know who the owner is.
Wow.
And if I see him at upcoming ArtCon, I might just say, hey, if you ever decide you want to get rid of it,
I'd be so curious to know. I mean, that was a lot of money, so. And we did get to meet Adam at Emerald City, and he was really, really sweet. So those conventions are great for that, of putting faces to names, and meeting Terry for the first time, too. So
we saw him again at WonderCon.
All those guys are fantastic. Nice. And yeah, we've been really, really fortunate, and we hope our luck continues with Green Arrow. And thank you for anyone who read Birds of Prey, and thank you for anyone who will check out Green Arrow, and thank you for anyone who was reading Green Arrow and is going to stick with it. We promise we're big fans too, and we hope we're not going to do them wrong. So
wonderful. All right. Well, thank you again, and may we meet again.
May we meet again.
Sooner the better.
Oh, we should have done an April Fool's intro. Oh, but April Fool's is tomorrow. But we could have done an April Fool's intro, which is, so actually we're taking over Batman.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Tom. It just came down. They're taking over Batman.
Doesn't know it yet.
Pack up your books.
We're going to let him keep writing
Get
it
out
just
of here.
for kicks, but...
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll get to see him next weekend in Chicago. I think he's going to be in Chicago next weekend. So
he is, and I think I heard him say his family's going because the family is from Barrington, and I used to live in Palatine, so it's right there. I used to pass the Barrington stop on my train. We're sad we're not going this year, but last year that was probably our favorite convention was C2E2. So I think you're going to have a blast again, and hopefully you guys get to hang out and tell him we're sorry we're taking over Batman.
I will tell him. All right, kids, have a good one.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks you guys so much.
Bye.
Miss you like crazy.
Bye. Bye. Oh my gosh, that was several hoots there. A lot of fun.
Oh yes, when you're talking to the Benson sisters, the hoots are cheaper by the dozen.
Yeah, and there's just great people. They've been great to us, and like I said before, very talented writers. I wouldn't be saying that if it wasn't true. I didn't believe it because. I'm going to miss that book, like I mentioned on one of the last episodes. So,
don't be sorry it's ending. Be glad it happened.
Yeah. So
and be glad that there's some more Benson work to look forward to.
Yeah. How about that? Awesome stuff. Well, Merge, since we've done it this long, I hope you don't mind, but you know what's coming, right? You do know what's coming.
I know what's coming. I've known from the minute I sat down.
Something, singing song. I'm not sure. And now, once again, it's time for our trivia contest, Muddle the Murd. where you could win some, not about valuable, you could win some interesting art if you happen to muddle the murd on questions 3.
Oh, look at that lovely small piece of paper.
Let's see what we have here for the prizes, because you've already given out a couple. We have... did you give out that Cully Hamner page? I believe you...
I think so.
Yes, that was the action. That was our last... I forgot to cross that off the list here.
That was the one that made it all the way to the state of Victoria, Australia.
Ah, that's right. All right, so we're going to have up for grabs in this installment of Muddle the Murd a page from Wasteland. Wasteland number 25, page 23 by Christopher Mitten is going to be up for grabs if you happen to Muddle the Murd. And this comes to us from Ryan Howard.
Oh,
not the former Philly.
I know. Well, Ryan has made the attempt to muddle me within the recent past. I think we made some kind of baseball joke at his expense.
Yes, because he says right here, I'm back to once again try to muddle the murd for calling me Josh at HeroesCon 2016.
Oh.
Murd. All joking aside, this show is great, and it has gotten me to read a greater variety of comics. I'm hoping to see you guys again at HeroesCon 2018, which... right now, it's still the plan.
Mm-hmm. Still on the itinerary.
Occupations pending. Anyways, let the muddling commence. The attempted muddling commence, I should say. Question 1, independent.
Can't blame the man for being confident.
Pre-1970, in what city did Will Eisner's The Spirits live and fight crime?
Oh. That is an excellent question. It's fairly... wow, that's not something I really ought to know. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten far enough in my reading to get to the kitchen sink published New Adventures of the Spirit, where I'm sure I'm going to have the name of the city thrown in my face over and over again. But Empire City.
Central City.
Yeah.
That is a great question, which I did not know the answer to.
Yeah. Empire City is actually the home base of The Escapist from Michael Chabon's The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay.
Okay.
I thought maybe they'd used that as a tribute to Eisner, but apparently Chabon did not do that.
Okay. All right, question 2, Marvel, 1970 to 2000. Punisher War Journal, numbers 6 and 7, featured a showdown between Punisher and which other Marvel character?
Well, there's a couple of obvious choices. I'm hoping it doesn't turn out to be Daredevil, because that's not what I'm going to say. Jigsaw.
Wolverine.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a very extensive collection of Punisher War Journal.
Okay. All right, going for the muddle. Question 3, DC Comics, 2000 to present. I don't know, this is an aside on my part, I don't know if you read this when it came out, because I don't know how far back your pile goes. In Identity Crisis, who hires Captain Boomerang to kill Jack Drake?
All right, I did read this when it was coming out.
Okay. Because we did some shows on this, as I recall.
Yeah. We did. I don't think I was directly involved yet at that point.
Okay.
We're talking like 05, 06.
Yes, around that time.
Because I was still in grad school at that point. So I think I might not have gotten back in time to participate. But
okay.
I certainly was. That was one thing that I actually read as it came out and did not even put into the pile. I think it went directly into the long boxes afterwards.
Nice.
All I'm coming up with is The Calculator.
The Calculator is correct.
Well, I'm glad that's the one thing I could come up with.
Wow, a nice little time to back on the Birds of Prey there. Wow.
Noah Cutler, yeah, that's where he acquired his name, I think. Before that, he'd just been kind of a random recurring foe. I think Bob Rozakis created him. He was in backup stories in
Detective Comics, issues 463 to 468.
Of course, you know the numbers.
Well, because I read him recently, because he had that great costume with the punch thing on his chest, keypad on his chest, and the purple outfit, and the top with the
yeah, he
gorgeous.
could actually draw dust particles from the air and solidify them into objects.
Man,
yeah, and he had that special key on his chest that he could press while being defeated by a foe, and it would analyze that foe's fighting style mathematically, and it would prevent him from ever being defeated by that foe again. It would
That's
just,
correct.
Develop the proper strategies and possibly even program in reflexes and movements into his bodysuit so that he could never be defeated by that opponent again.
Yep.
Yeah, but then he just became kind of a broker for a supervillain mercenary type work. So I wasn't sure he was going to be the right answer to that question because I thought maybe he was just the go-between for whoever actually was hiring Boomerang to kill Jack Drake. But as it turns out, he was the culprit.
Excellent. Once again.
Bless you, Bensons. That wasn't. that was a great bit of serendipity there.
Yes, it was.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, wow. So once again.
Sorry, Ryan. Or Josh, if you prefer.
I don't think he prefers Josh.
No.
I'm pretty sure he does not prefer Josh.
Okay, just. So we'll try to get it right at Heroes Con this year.
Make no promises because, we're sort of.
I said we'll try.
That's right. All right. Well, unless there's anything else, I think that'll wrap it up for us finally.
All right,
on
then.
this marathon episode, again, eternal thanks to the Benson sisters for their time and their friendship and just can't say enough good things about them. Class act all the way.
Yeah, thanks for giving us a couple of hours of fun here on this afternoon.
Yes. So, again, check them out in the upcoming run on Green Arrow, starting with annual number 2 coming out at the end of May, and then issue 43 coming out in August. And once again, this episode was brought to you by SuperheroStuff.com, where you go to for all of your
superhero stuff.
Yes. If you want to leave us a voicemail, the number is, oh my God, what is the number here?
Not so easy, is it?
No. 267-702-6642. By memory, I think that's what I got there. If you send us an email, we're at comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook, we're Comic Geek Speak. You can join in the conversation at thecomicforums.vanillaforums.com. Talk back about this episode as well as many other topics. We want to thank everyone who contributed to the show. We appreciate, really could not do without you. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.
Laser beams, opinions like the seasons on everything you read in comics, movies, games, toys, artists, comic geek speak, comic geek speak, comic geek speak, comic geek speak, comic geek. Uniting the world's mightiest heroes. This is Comic Geek Speak.
Another example of true canine devotion. This little fellow hopes to be able to provide a living for his master.
When I tell you this mutt can really talk, listen, what covers a house?
Roof.
C said Roof. What's my name?
Ralph.
C said Ralph. Who was the greatest baseball player?
Roof.
C said Roof. Maybe I should have said DiMaggio?